be really interesting. So, hello Natalie.
Hi.
Welcome to the SheScale Collective podcast. I was really keen to get you on today because obviously we've recently connected, which is amazing, because if I can just keep connecting with like-minded women, you know, business, motherhood, that being the main one. My idea is to try and get across to other mums that want to learn how to get into business or have a side hustle or be able to create something for themselves and not lose themselves in motherhood, because I think that is so easy to do. And you feel that, you know, once you become a mum, that's it, and I don't feel like that needs to be it.
No, not at all.
So for me, what I want to try and do is be able to prove to people that if they want to get out of the 9 to 5, that they can build something from scratch, or be able to help people scale from already starting their business, and then thirdly, helping mums create something for themselves. So obviously we connected.
We did.
And now we've spread this beautiful friendship over how many days. And I was really keen to obviously find out a little bit more about yourself. We won't go straight into what you're doing now, but I'd love to know kind of where it all started and where you've kind of, what business was you in before, what was you doing, maybe a bit before motherhood.
Okay. So I'm Natalie. Now a mum of 3. Obviously wasn't a mum of 3 before. I have lived in Stafford all my life, and I wanted to be a teacher from the get-go, so that's the route I took. School, university, degree, got my first job and loved it, and was a full-time teacher. I did primary school. I then decided that I wanted to start a family whilst I was teaching, and a shock to me and prior to him being my husband, we couldn't get pregnant. It just wasn't happening for us, and we decided we needed to go down the IVF route at only age, I think, 25, so quite young. But it just wasn't happening, so we did that. We went down the route, we had tests, and we were told basically, IVF is what you need to do. So we did that, and I had my first child in 2017. My first child, my birth, was very traumatic.
And you still decided to have 2 more.
You know, us women. You know, we're gonna do it well. You know? My first child, the birth changed me as a person. It was awful. Like 50 years ago, we both would have been dead. It was that bad. As I was in hospital for a week and I had this baby, I really struggled after it. I probably had PTSD, but didn't really know what to do with that, because you just get given this baby and you're like, here's your baby that you wanted so much.
And you were so young.
And here you go. And I was like, okay. And what got me is that when I had Max, everyone kept saying to me, but at least the baby's okay. At least the baby's healthy. I was like, great. I am not.
What about me?
And I really struggled. I became a shell of my former self. I used to struggle with driving, like my legs would go numb because I would have flashbacks to what had happened. I then also had to have reconstructive surgery 18 months on.
Was really traumatic.
It was bad. I completely had grounds to take it further. I had spoken to professionals, and you know they were encouraging me to sue, but I didn't.
Lie down, Mac.
I quite like having the dog in the middle. It's like therapy.
It is.
I was going to sue. I've got my finger stuck in the corner. But I didn't, because I wasn't in the right headspace, because you've got your baby. Why would you want to do that? Then I went on to have 2 more children. One was in COVID, so we all know how well that went. My second baby was born in 2020. We went into lockdown 4 weeks later, and again, he was a really poorly baby, so he had to be tube fed. We had to spend a lot of time in hospital, and during COVID again, we couldn't see anybody. I couldn't have that friendship with my mums and go and sit at the soft play with my older child and have a hot coffee and talk about how hard the nights were and all that. So again, that mentally nearly broke me. And I remember one night particularly, it was a really hot day, and I just looked at him and I just thought to myself, this is not normal how he is behaving as a baby. He won't drink at all, he won't have anything. So I took him to hospital, to A&E, and I remember putting the car seat down in the triage room, and the nurse looked at this sleeping baby in the car seat and she was like, what's the matter? And I just said, you're either going to have to admit him or you're going to have to admit me, because I can't do this anymore. And they were like, okay. But then as the night went on, they saw that he wasn't eating and he ended up being tube fed, and again we were in hospital for a week. So I had two different situations, but then went on to have a third baby, who wasn't planned, but she's here anyway. And I think motherhood in a whole, something that I wanted so much, but I didn't quite know it was going to be like that. And that changed everything for me, and my priorities changed. I didn't want to be the teacher anymore who was exchanging their time for money with other people's children. Not that I'm belittling the job, because the job is amazing, but it just wasn't fitting for me anymore. So I stopped. I then went into a part-time job helping children with mental health needs who didn't want to be at school. And I did like it, because it gave me a bit of freedom again, and it gave me a bit of me. But again, I soon found out that it wasn't really what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, because again, I was only 32 at this point, and I'm thinking, is this it until I'm 70? Why? And then I got made redundant from that job, and that's when I went into what I'm doing now.
Amazing. So that's a lot of information to get us started, but how you've managed to kind of get through all of that, at such a young age as well, is, incredible, admirable, up till that point. So how did you get into what you're doing now, and what are you doing now?
So what I'm doing now is something that I have never done before. As I say, I was a teacher. I was the one who was working with children. I had a social media account that I used to share pictures of my kids.
Just a personal account.
Just a personal account. I think I had 175 followers. Didn't really do anything with it. But one thing as a family is we love to travel. We are always on holiday. That is the reason why we work. In our eyes, we go to work because we want to spend it as a family travelling. Everyone does everything different, but that was our big pull. And I came across my business opportunity on Instagram, a stranger on the internet, as you do when you're doom scrolling.
Of course.
At night, after you put your kids to bed, and you're like one eye open, scrolling, and
I can't sleep yet. Give me some free time.
You've got Netflix, a glass of wine, doom scrolling. That was my evening. And I came across a lady who was telling me that you can do something else. You can do something online. You can work online from your phone. You can earn money through travel, through social media. And I thought, okay, I'll have a look at this. Like, what else have I got to lose? At this point, I hadn't been made redundant. I was still in my job. And I went into that. So I am now a travel network marketer. Again, had no experience prior to this. And I've been doing it just under 2 years, and it's allowing me to be a stay-at-home mum, and that's why I started it, and that's why I'm still doing it.
That's amazing. So that's really, again, changed your life, and if anything, for the better now. Your kids are a little bit older. You look amazing. So how do you feel now?
I'm clean and washed.
You must feel like so much better in yourself. From where you were, by the sounds of it. 6 to 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was looking at pictures the other day on my phone, and it's so weird. You just look at those pictures and you just think, oh my God, she was in a completely different place. But I still showed up every day. I was a mum. I had to keep going. On the outside, people were like, oh, she's got everything together, but on the inside, I'm still sitting there thinking, oh my God, at 25 years of age, like, how did I almost die in childbirth, and how did I then, have this child who wouldn't eat, and I had to feed my baby via a tube, and you just sit there and think, oh my God, how things can change.
Yeah.
But I'm also not the person that I was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm also not the person that I was just 2 years ago since starting what I do.
What you do now. So do you feel like social media has changed you as a person, or?
So I wouldn't say social media, I would say the people that I've surrounded myself with.
Okay, so your network and the people that you are supported
my community.
by. Yeah.
Coming from a teaching background,
I bet was that quite a lonely place, or?
I've made friends from teaching and I've still got lifelong friends, but again, it sometimes still felt like a bit of a competitive place.
Okay.
It still felt like sometimes you would go into a classroom and you would talk to somebody and you would almost feel that as soon as you walked out of that room, they would be repeating what you'd said.
Yeah.
Obviously not everybody was like that.
No.
I also...
I feel like it could probably be quite a judgmental space.
Yeah, so another story, I found out I was pregnant, that our IVF had worked in my teaching job, and whilst I was at school I let the children out for a break time and I felt a sudden gush, and I was about 8 weeks pregnant. I hadn't told anybody, and I was bleeding quite heavily, so I then went to tell my headmistress, so it's a woman, and I said, I need to go, I think I need to go to the hospital. And she said, you can't go, I don't have cover for your lesson. And I explained what was happening, and she said, no, you can't leave until I've sorted your cover. And
wow.
Yeah, I was about to stay, and then I just stood there and thought to myself, Natalie, what are you doing? Like,
you need to get to hospital.
This is you. And I just said to her, I'm leaving now, the cover issue isn't my problem.
Yeah.
I've got to go. I then went on to have the baby, and I called the school and tried to organise my return back to work, and I said, would you consider part-time, etc. And she put the phone down on me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's another woman.
That's another woman who was also a mum.
Wow.
Yeah. We had a lot of conversations. She told me that I'd ruined my career, and that having children at such a young age shouldn't be the thing that I should have done. And I'll be honest, that changed my view of teaching for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, it could have really changed your view on women for the rest of your life as well.
And I didn't want to go back to teaching for that reason as well. But why should I go back into that atmosphere, knowing that she didn't appreciate me and the relationship had gone? There was no way.
There was no loyalty there.
So lots had happened in my teaching career, but it's brought me to where I am today. I don't, regret anything that I did.
No, of course.
Or what happened.
Yeah, that path was for a reason, wasn't it? And you are where you are now because of that.
Yeah.
If things had been different, you might not be in this situation that you're in now. Do you feel that, do you ever feel pressure to present yourself in a certain way now? I suppose because of all of that that's happened as well, maybe since motherhood, or for your children, for your social media.
I think social media can portray one version of someone's life, and I think people can sometimes think that's the only version that you can portray on social media.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, because people who are, as we say, doom scrolling, want to relate to people. They want to feel like they have something in common with someone. I am the type of woman who, will show up in her pyjamas.
Yeah, I love that though, because it's so real.
Yeah.
But a lot of people love that and relate to you as a person and your story and what you're putting on social media.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women love that.
Yeah, and I just think it creates more of a safe space for people, because they can then sit there in their bed and think, oh, she's like me, she's just a normal woman.
Yeah.
Because we are. I get that you have celebrities and influencers, and I do not see myself as an influencer, dear God. But I just feel like if you can come across you online, it also helps you with your confidence as well, being on social media.
Yeah, of course. How do you get any kind of judgment online? Because obviously now you've got quite a big following.
I know what happened there.
Yeah, do you actually know what happened there? Where did that scale? Was there a certain post or?
Yeah, I think I shared a reel. This is really weird. I shared a reel around Christmas time about 2 years ago, and it was about your kids playing up and changing your friend's name in your phone to Santa, and saying that Santa's calling, and
Yeah.
it went wild. And I was like getting all these notifications, and I was like, what else going on here?
Yeah.
And it kind of just stemmed from that, and it was literally a reel that I just shared, and it taken me like 10 seconds to create because I thought it was funny. And then it just went from there, and now, no, I can honestly say, hand on heart, I haven't had, touch wood, any judgment, any trolls or anything like that, because I do feel that I'm quite neutral online.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not, but that's me in real life as well. Like,
Yeah.
I will support anybody in what they are doing. I will talk to anybody about anything. And so no, social media at the minute for me has been a positive place.
That's really good to hear, and good for people to hear that as
Yeah.
well, because I think social media can seem
Oh,
a
yeah,
scary
absolutely.
place.
Yeah.
You know, especially for people learning to grow and
Yeah.
you know what to put on their social media and their posts. I think reels are a
Yeah.
really good watch, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then I suppose as soon as people are watching the full reels, the algorithm picks up the engagement, and that's probably
Yeah.
where
I
it's
mean,
just
don't
gone.
get me wrong. I've seen some where some people have had arguments with each other in the comments on my reels. So,
Oh,
so
okay,
someone
yeah.
has commented something, then someone's replied, and there's been an argument going on.
Yeah, but it's never been
No,
faced at you.
never at me, and I'm just sat there like, guys, this is only just pushing my reel out further.
Yeah,
because
you
are
keep
constantly-
going.
Yeah. So you do you.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing really that I've come across.
So how you've got 3 kids,
Yeah.
you've got a husband,
Yeah.
you've got this amazing network and business that has now grown to
Yeah.
a scale. As you said before, you're deciding to get a puppy.
Yeah.
How the hell do you juggle all of that?
Wine helps.
I love that answer. My husband will hate you for that answer, but I love that answer.
Wine, not with my breakfast. But,
Oh, damn it. And I thought 8:30 in the morning was
Yeah.
okay.
No, I'm joking. Obviously, I do like a wine. I don't know. I'm the type of person who's always the glass is half full.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to live life, and you just have to go for it. I lost my dad when I was only 10 years old. So maybe that has a lot to play with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just think, you know, life at any minute can change. Juggle, if you're busy, how special that is to be busy and to have
Yeah.
things that I'm busy with, like my kids and
Yeah.
things like, it's something that's.
So do you feel like you've got a balance? I feel like on your profile, from what I can see on the social media, there is balance. You know, you're out at the park eating,
Yeah.
having fun with your kids,
Yeah.
while still building a business. Is this business like, have you got people within your business that you build with?
Yep.
So,
So my business is 2 sides. Obviously, there's a travel side and there's a network marketing side. I had never done anything to do with network marketing before. I had no idea what it was.
okay.
I came into it completely uneducated and was here for the travel to make a couple of extra £100.
Yeah.
Then I explored the product. I was surrounded by people who were explaining to me what it was, how I could use it, and the business for me, yes, we can benefit from travel, but the business for me is showing women how to find their purpose again. So
Yeah.
I was that mum who was sat on the sofa, and don't get me wrong, having children is amazing, but sometimes it's boring
Yeah.
because you can only drink a certain amount of cups of teas and watch Peppa Pig before you are losing your mind.
Before you turn into
Yeah.
Peppa Pig
And
and you're quoting everything.
yeah, and I wasn't doing anything else with my brain, and this has allowed me to do that. But the perks are that yes, I can do it. I can work on my business in bed at a coffee shop whilst the kids are swimming.
So you can literally take it
I
anywhere
can take
in the
it
world.
anywhere. I can take it in the anywhere in the world. I can take it to a different country. If we want to move abroad one day, I can take it with me. I didn't have that flexibility with teaching, and when you have children, one of the biggest things is being able to be flexible, because kids get ill, kids need to be at sports clubs, kids want you to be at school, and I just needed something that needed to work with me, and this is what I found. So when I found it, I thought, I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah, and this is a business for the listeners' sake that you could do on the side.
Yeah.
You could do it while you've got a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously as a mum like
Yep.
yourself. So there's lots of ways that people could get into doing something separate to create themselves a successful
Yeah,
sort
I
of
have
business.
men and women in my team. I say team, team, I don't really like the word team. It's more of a community because we're all exactly the same as each other.
Yeah.
I'm not better than them, and I'm just here to support them. But yeah, we have men, women, stay-at-home mums, self-employed mums, teachers, GPs, everything, because some people are just looking for an extra string to their bow, and some people come on board because they want to have the opportunity to try something new, they want to travel more with their families, or they want to change their whole life and they can see that they can do it from sitting on their sofa at home.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what's your support network like? I suppose I know that you work from home, so I suppose you don't always really need somebody.
Yeah.
But if you did, or if you need to go and make them like one-to-one calls and things like that, how has your support network been from your 20s to now?
So I've always had my mum and my husband. They're always
really supportive.
Yeah, really supportive. And I remember when I started this, I explained to my husband what it was, and he was like, yeah, I don't really understand what it is, but yeah.
Go for it.
I've never had to ask him permission. Not that this is in disrespect to any other woman, but I have always been the type of woman that if I want to do something,
you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it, okay? I don't need a man or anybody to say, I'm not letting you do that. And he is really good. Like, I'm going to America later in the year for business. He would never say, you can't go. But yeah, I've never been the person to stand there and be like, oh, I can't do that because they've said I can't do it. That would give me more fuel to be like, okay, just you watch me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always had my mum and my husband, and you know, when I'm doing calls, but another positive about my business is it's really child friendly. So if I am doing a call, sometimes I've got Millie sat on my knee.
And that's okay.
And that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And again, that's just showing how I balance it all, because I'm doing it because of them. So if she is sat on my knee and I'm talking to my team, they get it because they're like, she's building it for them. So sometimes they just have to be there.
Yeah, that's great. And do you ever like suffer from like mum guilt or anything like that? You know, if you're going away to work, I suppose they're all a little bit more grown up now.
Yeah, they're a bit more grown up. I do suffer with mum guilt, but I would say I suffered a lot more when I was working a normal job.
Yeah.
Because it was so structured.
Yeah.
And I knew there was no flexibility. Like, those are my set hours, those are my set days. I couldn't do the school run. I couldn't be at the swimming lessons. I can now. Yes, sometimes I might be working at 8 o'clock at night, but my kids are in bed. I would rather be doing that than out in the day 9 till 5 and miss being able to pick them up and, you know, do all those things. And also, I think you get to a point when you're a mum when you have to be a little bit selfish sometimes, and you are still a person.
Have you had to learn that?
Yeah, I've had to, like, I went to America for the first time last year, and on the way to the airport I was saying to myself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What am I doing? And then the other voice in my head is saying, but you're doing it for them. You're doing it for them. This business is growing for them. And yeah, sometimes you do have to be a bit selfish. And when I'm at a swimming lesson, I'm watching Max at the corner of my eye, but I'm working on my business too, because I'm here, I'm present at the swimming lesson, which I wouldn't be if I was in the classroom, but I'm also having to work at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just knowing that that's okay.
Yeah, and giving yourself a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Because I know I find mum guilt really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. You know, you leave the door and they're crying and you're like, oh God, but I've got to go to work.
Yeah.
And you know, I've got my own business, so I run my own hours. I take him to school, I can pick him up from school. I have got a really good support network, but God, if I do something out of my little routine, it just makes me feel like the worst mum in the world.
Yeah, and I think as a mum, I don't think that will ever go. Even no matter how old they are. But as I say, you do have to get to a certain point where you think, but I am a person too. And they have, you know, they have their little life. They want to be taken to swimming. They want to be taken to the football clubs, and
they get all that.
And they get all that. And you've also still got to be able to think, but I want something for me. And again, doing what I do, I can be at the clubs and still be doing something for me, and that's why it works for me.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything like on social media, I suppose, that you kind of separate your private life to what you post on social media? Because I noticed that you do post your kids as well.
Yeah.
Like I've got friends that like to keep them pretty hidden from social media for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you find that you have to keep a little bit more private? You don't have to tell us what it is,
Yeah,
obviously.
I don't know really. Obviously, yeah, I do show my kids on social media, but I am also completely agree with people who don't show their kids on social media. You know, everyone is entitled to do what they do and why they do it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's wrong or it's right, and I also don't think that it's right for other people to tell people how they should do things with their kids.
Yeah.
Yes, I do show them on social media. Not so much Max, my eldest now, because he'll just moan and be like, "Oh, you're taking a picture of me again."
Yeah.
So, you know, if it gets to the point where they are all like that, then obviously no, I won't, and then you'll just have to see more of me on social media. But yeah, at the minute and at the time I'm at in my life, my kids do feature in.
But that might be another real relatable
bit
of content for you, that people, why they follow you, because they can see what you're doing with your kids as well as building your business. And I think that's, like I say, very relatable to some people.
And I do know a lot of people find a lot of joy from Millie and her quirky ways, her sassy diva ways. Whenever, if I put her on my stories or I'll say something about her, people do love seeing her and they'll comment about it and stuff like that. But yeah, some things, I share a lot of things, obviously not everything, but yeah, I do also share the highs and lows of being a mom.
Which I think is important, you know, because I think everybody knows that social media can just be a highlight reel. So I think what's more relatable, like you said, you're just being yourself. So whether you show the good stuff and the bad days, you know, are there any sort of real bad days that are memorable for you during motherhood and business? So
during motherhood, it would have been recovering from my first birth, obviously almost 9 years ago. Social media wasn't really as big as it is now. Recovering from my first birth was a tough time. But I would say Charlie, and suffering with him in COVID and how ill he was, that was probably one of my lowest points, because I just felt like I couldn't get away from it. You know, the furthest I could go was my garden. There was no support from people. It was also a really scary time because we were taken into hospital when he had an issue at home. He choked at home and I had to have an ambulance for him, and it was around the time that COVID was just exploding, and it took the ambulance handlers 90 seconds to pick the phone up, and I'd got an unresponsive baby in my kitchen. And she answered the phone, and I just remember blurting out to her, but I also remember at the time I was also very weirdly calm, and I was almost talking to myself saying, it's fine, like if there is something really wrong with him, it's fine, it's okay, it's going to be okay. And I was trying to like get myself into a zone. It was very, very weird. But yeah, luckily there was an ambulance about 2 minutes away going to someone who had got a temperature, and she said, I'm going to cancel it, it needs to come to you. And yeah, he had choked on his milk because he had got medical issues that no one had picked up on, because no one was seeing anybody in COVID. Those appointments weren't happening. And I just remember handing him to my husband and just saying, you need to do something with him because there's something wrong with him. And the paramedics came in and he was just lying on the I think I had him on the table, and they didn't speak to me, they just came straight in and went straight to him, and he was grey. He was alive, he was breathing, but he wasn't doing anything. And the paramedics pricked his foot, and the colour just suddenly started to rise back into his body, and he moved his arm, and the room, like the stress that was in that room, obviously it was stressful for the paramedics because they're being greeted with this 4-week-old baby. And what they think happened is that he choked on his milk, it went onto his lungs, and his body just shut down to cope with it, and his body just said, I can't deal with this, I'm just going to stop. And we went into hospital, and we were greeted with doctors in fish bowls, in suits. I'd got a baby who had no immunisations, and it was awful, really, really scary. And then we came home and we went into proper lockdown. And then yeah, his issues continued. He, as I say, he had to be tube fed. It was a really, really stressful time, and that was probably one of my lowest points. And I think I have shared it before on social media. And people have said, oh my God, I bet that was awful. And yeah, it was, but also it's made me this person who's then thinking, well, if things like that can happen so quickly, why are we not doing what the hell we want?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a bit like I am, really.
Yeah, but that's a real great bit of advice for a lot of people, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
You know, because like you say, in any moment, everybody's lives could just change.
Yeah, absolutely. And that moment was literally seconds. I was feeding him upstairs on the bed, and he was crying and crying and crying because he just wouldn't take a bottle. He just couldn't, because I don't think he could. And I gave him some milk, and then within 30 seconds, I'm like, there's something wrong with my baby. And I just remember pushing him onto Will, being like, you need to do something with him. And he looked at me as if to say, he's not moving. And that's how quick things can happen.
Mm-hmm. So on a kind of day-to-day then, like, are you more, I suppose because you've got little ones, are you up early doing what you need to do, or do you get up with them and have your time at night time, or is it the other way around?
I do like my sleep.
Okay.
So I would love to say I'm part of the like 5 a.m, 6 a.m club, and I've tried it so many times, I just can't do it.
And you just not.
I just can't do it. So yeah, we're as a family, we're probably up around 6:30, 7.
Which is still early.
Yeah, chaos, resumes. I want this for breakfast. No, I want this. Where's my school tie? Have you done my packed lunch? Have you packed my bag? Where's my drink? So yeah, it's chaotic in the morning. We tend to have our time on an evening. I love my kids, but I also love my time.
Yeah.
So we've always had a bedtime routine. They go to bed. Obviously, they're a bit older now, so they're fine to spend time with on an evening.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a day-to-day, the morning is what I call shit show before the school run, and then I'll have my time in the day now. Then we'll have the kids, and then it's our time in the evening.
Yeah.
Normally I'm asleep though by 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like unconscious on the sofa. that's it.
Yeah. So I suppose your time in the day is kind of your time to get business done. And, make sure you've got your head together somewhat.
Trying going to Home Bargains without the kids.
Oh yeah, that sounds lovely.
B&M, doing the food shop.
Yeah.
Like all those top tier self-care therapies.
Yeah. Is there anything, I noticed you was reading Emma Greed's book the other night.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you kind of have to mind that would be good for people to kind of read, educational or maybe mindset or?
Yeah, so absolutely. If you are in a place where, you're not happy with something, or you're feeling a bit like, like you're just plodding on through life, my top tip would be listen to something or read something.
Yeah. Because
your mind is one of the things that will stop or start you to do something. And if it's not in the right place, you're not going to be in the right place. And a huge thing with my business, and I say to all the people who are in business with me, you need to read things and you need to listen to things, because your mindset needs to be shifted.
Yeah.
And if you can shift your mindset, and I have done that, I've never listened to I've never listened to podcasts before, like Mel Robbins. She's really great.
Yeah, I like Mel Robbins. I also love Tony Robbins. They're both amazing.
Tony Robbins. There's people like John C. Maxwell, Fraser Brooks, who are people who are in the same business as me, who I'd never heard of before, but are really uplifting people.
Yeah.
And also listen to women as well, because like listening to other women and listening to how they've come from, what they've come from and where they are now, it empowers you and it makes you think, well, if they can do it, why the hell can't I?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love, especially in the car, when I've done the school run, podcast goes on, and I'm in my own little world, or when I'm running, I keep trying to run, I do run, but it's
that's like me, I just physically can't.
God, I just do it and hate it.
But podcasts on the
podcast
general,
on, and I'm away with
motivates you a little bit, or if you do stay awake later than 8 o'clock, a book or of some sort.
Yeah, I try, but it's just like, it doesn't really happen for me anymore.
No.
I'm getting to that middle age where, like, a night in front of the TV is much more appealing than a night out.
Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely. Have you got any survival tactics?
I mentioned earlier wine.
We'll
always,
just repeat that one again.
Yeah, always have a bottle of wine in the fridge.
Yeah.
Cold. Because
White.
you never know. Rosé.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rosé, because you never know when you need to open that.
Yeah.
So survival tactics, always have your wine. Always be happy to talk to someone. So if you're having a crap day, talk to someone about it. Whether that's someone on your phone, social media, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member. I found that especially from having my first birth and how traumatic it was, I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about anything really.
So then you just go
you go in and then you make a bigger issue that might not be that big if you share it with somebody else.
Yeah.
Because they might be able
your mind's doing 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
making it probably worse than what it is at the
And
time.
we all do that, don't we?
Yeah.
One thing, it can be one thing, and then by the end of the day you've turned it into a thing that's 1,000 times worse. But talking about things and having the wine helps.
That is perfect advice.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm taking it all on board.
Like when you're having a bad day, Natalie says
Yeah, that's it.
to have wine.
Just have wine.
Like, okay, but it's 10:15.
Yeah.
But it's wine.
And that's amazing. But to kind of wrap things up, as I kind of ask everybody, because I'm on this like 3-tier path for people that are kind of maybe in their 9 to 5s and they want to start something new, already in business and needing to scale, all the mums out there that just need that, that bit of helpful advice, whether they do want to have a side hustle or just something that can make them feel okay about juggling everything. What's your advice maybe to each of those?
So my advice to all of them is probably in the beginning you're going to have to borrow someone's self-belief, because you might start and have none.
Yeah.
And you might be sitting there thinking, I'm going to start something, but I don't know if this is going to work. You might need to look to somebody else who can say, do you know what, I believe in you. I can see where you want to take this. And that is a big part of me and my community. They come on board to work with me, and at the beginning they can't see how it's going to work, why it's going to work, or when it is going to work. And I say, look, borrow some of my belief, because I can see where you want to take it and I'm going to help you. I also think that I'm a big believer on just grabbing life, going for it. Like, what is the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Like, your reality is that you will just go back to what you are doing already. And if that is what you are doing already, then you just revert back to it.
Yeah.
But if you don't do something, are you going to be sitting there in like 40 years? He's now going to start playing the toy cards.
Yeah.
Are you going to be sitting there in like 40 years thinking, I wish I'd have done that thing?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be proud that you did it?
Yeah.
And gave it a go? Hello. I know.
Exactly. I literally live by that. I just think, I'm going to try it. If it works, amazing, we're going to be scaling. If it doesn't, I can't say I haven't tried.
Yeah.
You're not going to win at everything. You're going to fail at some things. And
I think people in business and people who start something new just have to be okay with failing forward and failing more times than another person.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get to the top. Like, you've got to fail.
Yeah.
You've got to do things wrong.
And pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. It might be that you start one thing and it does lead you into something else.
Yeah.
Because it's not always just a straight path, is it?
No.
To the top.
Yeah, and when I had my kids, I didn't have an instruction manual. I didn't know what I was doing. When I stood in front of my first class when I was a teacher, I didn't know what I was doing. But you just kind of figure it out as you go along.
Yeah.
And then that's where the magic happens, really.
Yeah. Okay. And kind of just with like the motherhood side of things, there's mums out there that are just like, I haven't got the time to have another business or start something, or I haven't got the money. What advice would you give to the mums out there that are just struggling to take that leap of faith?
Yeah, so a lot, I get people as well who will say to me, I would love to do what you do, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the confidence. And I'm like, I completely hear all of them, but what you need to realise is that is how I felt in the beginning. Like, how was I going to fit a business in with 3 kids? How was I going to be this person who could talk about what I do when I didn't know what I was doing? And you have to remember that everybody starts at 0. So the people that you see online, the people that you see bossing life, all started at a position where they thought they'd got no time, they'd got no money, they'd got no confidence. But until you just sit there and say to yourself, what's the alternative? You don't know until you try it.
Yeah. And it can take some time, can't it, to build? It's not going to happen overnight.
And I think you have to be okay with that. You have to know that it's a process. If you come into it and think, I'm going to turn this business into something in 2 weeks, and then you're gutted when it doesn't happen. Well, then that's
you're just setting yourself up to fail.
You are. So if you come into it and give yourself a small goal, like, you know, I want to become more confident on social media in 6 months. Okay, that's a small goal that you can give yourself. Or
achievable.
I want to start this business and I want to make £200 from it in 6 months. I think you just have to start small, and then the further you go down the line, it can change from there. And I saw in Emma Greedy's book that she does something that it's called like this is 30. So she'll do this is 30, this is 40, this is 50, and she goes into the notes on her phone and she'll put what she wants her life to look like when she's 30, when she's 40, when she's 50. So at the minute she says she's working towards this is 50, because she's turning 40. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a note in my phone and put this is 40, so I'm 35, and I'm going to put what I want my life to look like at 40, and then you reverse engineer it and you make it happen.
And what does 40 look like for you?
Wine. No more
this
children.
This is going to be the topic of the description, you know.
Make my own vineyard. No more children. Traveling more with my family. Having a business that has scaled in the UK and in the US. Showing women and men that they can absolutely be the best version of themselves, and just enjoying life.
That's amazing. Really good. And today I feel like it's been so insightful for absolutely everybody that's going to listen to this podcast. You are an incredible woman.
Thank you.
You know, your last 10 years have been absolutely...
What a ride.
Yeah, chaotic.
No wonder I drink.
That wine. Do you want a glass of wine?
I'm alright, actually. I'm going to say I've had one now. I haven't had
Which you can imagine. But yeah, absolutely amazing to have you on. So thank you so much
for
sharing all of that information.
Yeah, it's like a therapy session.
I know. Well, hopefully you feel better for it.